Alright, here we go. The first installment of the TemporalFlux tutorial extravaganza. We got quite a bit to cover here, so we're gonna the project outline. I'd hopefully do about 5 30-minute tutorials or so. This is gonna be a example tutorial just to see how it goes. I'm gonna redo this video. So, because the quality, I can already tell it's not going to be that great. I want to analyze that and then refactor some things. But nonetheless, we're going to cover game world theory of practice of the game Chrono Trigger. By the way, that's what we're doing. You need this ROM. I'm going with the 5.1997 version, whatever that means. Whatever this object file is. If you can't acquire this and you don't know what this TemporalFlux program is, and aren't interested, then this video isn't for you. But if you're into editing Chrono Trigger, this ROM, which is a fantastic game for the Super Nintendo thing, and yeah, we're hacking that shit. So we're gonna be covering today the basic stuff and the beauty of import-export, and maybe talk about plugins that are available, and there's some fantastic ones out there. We're gonna go to the menu functions, events, and we'll fucking get into that later. But we're gonna talk about treasure, and then the music, strings, and why are we getting to that so soon when there's other stuff to cover? But the interface itself, like the file menus, and all of that stuff and the different things you can do with that, we're going to be covering that. And then we'll get into what I did for my CT Plus mod, was the Millennial Fair expansion, the extravaganza upgrade complete. I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that I added in Silver Point system. See, while I'm going over the events, I'll be using that as an example. You'll be able to get these files later, so don't get too hung up right now. Like, give me the files. Give me the files. Give me the files. Like, hell no. Give me the files a little better. Bear gets it. So, you know, whatever. And anyway, you'll get it later. Fucking later. Just wait. Just settle the fuck down. Okay, so Blackjack overview, Scavenger Hunt, Adventurer's Tent, that kind of stuff. And then we'll talk about new item trading, and we're going to make some custom items for the finale of this video. Just to get started, and then we'll get into this other stuff later. And that's just kind of what we're going to do, and that's that. But this is the content we're covering for now. We're going to get started. Let's go. So we're going to load up our TemporalFlux, and holy fuck, I already wrecked something, so I'm just going to go up here and go to revert, and it's going to, oh, that room came back. All right. Goody. Alright, so I've opened up TemporalFlux, and I've loaded up a ROM, and I'm going to use my CT Plus Act 1. That might be available at some point. We'll see. I don't want to get anybody in trouble or whatever. So we're going to do that. And I loaded up this screen here in the interface, this tab, this location, and here is. Actually, I want to start with the up here. Okay, so we have open, ROM, save as. Every time you can just save the same one under a different name, and it's going to switch the one that you're editing, of course, under the new one that you're save asing. Yeah, that's a word, sure. Auto archive will save as and increment a number every time you save, so that's going to auto-save for you. Mark all modified. Reshuffles all the data when you save. Presumably, I don't know what that does, actually. I haven't used that yet. That's kind of new. It's been a while since I've done this, but I'm getting back into it, and we're going to be making this sweet ROM hack. But first, I'm going to cover the intro stuff, like said before. And compression, we can load up, if we have the tech sheets, and there'll be a link to those below in the description, where the file downloads for this video, except for the files for this, except for the export files and stuff. You get those later under another different video. But anyway, for now, you can decompress a file, turn it into a binary file, and then recompress it later at that address or a different address or whatever. For advanced data editing, you can import and export different segments. Say I have and it's good to do this, have a little directory of, say, your event files, and use the binary, the location numbers always, even if it's the events, which was gonna have, we'll get into this in a second here. Let me move this motherfucker. Okay, say here, we're gonna go to, just fucking construction noise in the background. Alright, say I want to load, import this file. I don't know, you need to get my drink here, I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm gonna start this segment again. So we have import and export. I could export, say, Chrono's Kitchen. And I'm going to go, and you should do this. You should have a little folder where you have events and, say, maps. And then these other items we'll get into also, but for events, I want to export 001 Chrono's Kitchen. Mwah. And then I'm gonna have this as the events here. Oh no, this is blasphemous. It's slot 143. Wouldn't I want to save that as 143 Chrono's Kitchen? And be like, no, because it's in the events folder. I'm saving it as, and it's just a reminder to me to put the slot differently. And then we're gonna make sure. Okay, so that's gonna be saved there, and then we're gonna just be like, slot different, so we remember, or whatever, you know, just comments, and then if we're gonna, and then there it is. Oh, how cute little file is born. And then we could just import that, and there's actually a faster way to do something else later, but anyway, we're gonna just warp down to whatever I did last. Usually shows up in the, you know, good old Windows interface. So that one, and then bang, it's gonna have this. It's gonna tell us it's gonna import an events file, slot different, and then I can import, and then it's going to be imported from file. Get out of here, faggot. Location, events, and dialogue, slot 143 at that timestamp, and then over here, there's just some extra numbers. Get out of the way. 22D, so like you can see down here, there's various tiles in the map interface. We'll get to that in a minute, but I just wanted to point out, since we're pointing out the status bar at the bottom, that's important stuff. Anyway, so we imported, and then we're gonna hit Control S, and that's gonna be done. Okay, get out of the way. Fucking swastika Windows thing. Okay, so patches. We want to. Oh, by the way, if you're doing this with a new ROM, you're gonna want to hit Expand ROM and do all that stuff. The first time you open this, you're also gonna get a. There's a header file. I can't believe I forgot to say that, but if you got that, yeah, remove the header file. Otherwise, if you hit no, just exit the editor and then load it up again or whatever. I think it makes you do it. I'm not sure. Whatever. It's important. Kinda. Okay, so it's going to offset it by 200. Yeah. It just takes 200 bytes to make some of the data easier to work with. It's a compression thing. Location, we can rename. If I want to make this like Melchior's slut hut. I don't know. I won't go too grody here, but if he had a, oh yeah, okay, so if he had a little vacationing spot, like that could be just an example. I know it's kind of lewd, but whatever. Okay, anyway, write to memory. Anytime you make changes, you want to hit write to memory before you hit save. So save is Control Shift S. So I hit Control S a lot. You'll see done. Control Shift S, ROM save. So Control S, Control Shift S. Anytime I say save it, I'm doing that combination of stuff every time. So it's going to be from now on that. And okay, so moving on, we have layers. These are our map layers. Like let's say layer 3 is hard to see, but there's little sunlight in this one. And let's unlock all the stuff here first. All right, first like to do. I'm gonna do most recent copy for explicit paste. Now what is that? If I highlight this, I could actually turn layer 3 off for a second. I'm turning layer 1 and 2 on and off by hitting Control 1 and 2, and I can actually move this room around. And if I copy tiles stuff together, I can make maps look a lot like a Square designer did it by just chopping segments together from different maps. And if they get inverted, you can do the swap layer 1 and 2, and it'll actually flip the tiles. And make sure that when you do this though, you're also going to layer 6, because now I fucked that up. Okay, so I'm actually just going to hit revert real quick and do this again. Alright, I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to move up here. I'm going to turn layer 6 off. Move this up here. And then bang. Okay, I'm going to make sure those get in there so that if I move that, it's got that up there now. So anytime you paste those in, make sure you get those three things. And in our layer 3, I should probably get that in also. If there was one, it's actually going to copy tiles. It's going to do a thing in events, a window to this open one, and then play a sound effect so that it has the effect of opening and closing curtains in the game type virtual reality atmosphere, because it is a virtual reality. Any game really is a VR if you think about it. You don't need the goggles and all that stuff. Okay, so now let's open up all the stuff is what I was going to say. Opening up all the stuff, we're going to load up, we're going to go to Window. Okay. If you ever close this, you fuck up and you're like, oh god, how do I get back? You can just go to Window, Locations. Oh, saved. And actually you can have multiples open, so you could actually copy and paste. Say this is 2 different maps. Let's go to a different map. Let's go to Luca's workshop. Alright. And so I don't know if this is going to work because this is a different tile set. In fact, location tile set 26. And if I go to this one, it's 2. So I'm going to get some funky tiles if I try to paste this in. You're like, what the hell is going on? You might get that with maps. It's just a thing you got to deal with if you're hunky-dory putting shit together. But anyway, I'm not gonna do that. But anyway, so you can actually just copy tiles in between stuff. And that's useful to know, because then you could really hack maps together and make some cool stuff without having much creativity. You just have to know how to make it flow seemingly like it's part of the game, you know. It's kind of what I did a lot of times, because I was fried back in the day, or whatever that means. Anyway, so overworlds, I'm not going to get into that much, because I'm not the best with that, but I will cover it at one point. I'm not going to cover it in this video, actually. We're going to do some overworld editing later. But I'll show it briefly. It's got, you know, there's exits, events. Actually, I shouldn't even show this until I'm done with locations. Okay, yeah, back to that. So I'm going to close this. That'll open up some other stuff. But we're opening up all the stuff. Yeah, ADD boy, we're opening that. Yeah, okay. So we have tile properties. We want that. That's going to open up something down here. Okay, that's going to be all of these. And actually, that was open once I hit Control 6. I think that came up, but maybe not. No, actually, that doesn't make that come up, but... Anyway, now we're going to get map properties. We're going to get music. Okay, so in music, we select Peaceful Day. We can actually change the different instruments. And we'll get into that. We're going to make some cool variations. Just a few to spice up the game. Now, treasure. I added a treasure chest. And since I expanded the ROM, I can do this. I can add extra treasure to the game. I'm not sure how much extra treasure. I'm not going to factor that in, but I added item at 7, and you can see this right here, you can see a 7-5 at the bottom corner down. Get out of the way. There we go. Right here there's a 7 and a 5, so that's where we want the treasure. And if they search there, since it's not a treasure chest, it's just a bucket of berries or flowers or whatever that is, cotton candy, pink flamingos, I don't know, could be them all. And we added Atom Edge, which I hacked from Vedic Blade. We'll get to that in a minute, how to make something cool like that. But let's finish maps real quick. Okay, so we got our location properties. Then we got this scrolling. This is the black stuff. That how much it's going to screen scroll dynamically, and the rate on the screen. If you have a really tiny room like a shack, it look kind of weird unless you give it some extra space. And then you don't want it to scroll. You want to kind of have it locked to scroll very slightly, or whatever effect you want. Actually, it's your hack. I mean, I'm just showing you the layouts of how some of this stuff works and how to avoid some of the pitfalls. Okay, map 3C. If I change this, oh dear God, we're loading a different map. If I load a map which does not match these tile sets as seen before, it'll get funky like that. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna keep Melchior's Slut Hut, in other words, or bastardized version of Chrono's Kitchen, which it's the same thing. It's not going to be called that in the game or anything. It's just for TemporalFlux to rename that location. But anyway, for the editor for this particular ROM, and I think that's saved as a next to the ROM file. I think I have this on the desktop. No, I don't. I have that somewhere else. Never mind. I don't want to look. Whatever. You can look yourself. Anyway, So for tiles, though, let's go into, okay, I got too much shit open. This is a good point. Okay, I want to turn treasure off at the moment. I'm going to turn exits off because, okay, well, exits, I got, let's say, this one takes you to the overworld. On that overworld map editor, there's a formula somewhere for translating this to how and where you're coming out at and what direction you're facing. I'm not sure why it's all messed up to this. I forget what the actual formula is. We'll get to that later. I actually got to look it up, and I'll probably put that in a future video, or the refactor of this video. This is kind of a hype ADD thing, just to get something out there. Whatever. Anyway, the position, is it vertical? How wide is it? And then notice how I have it's lined up to the solidity of this, so there's no way you're gonna, and that's the other solidity level. That's a spectral, a V, or I should say a vector of like X and Y height, giving an illusion of Z axes based on what tiles you're going on. And that's some advanced tile map stuff we'll get into later. You can actually just see, if you click on this, you can see over here the, not only the spectral, but this solidity level. See, this one's solid, right? Type solid. This one that has like this railing one here, it's going to be solid quads. And then Z-plane transitional solid. There's ways of sprite over layer 1, over layer 2, NPC solidity, that kind of stuff to keep things from wandering into it. Okay, and with those, I believe we need to cover, okay, the palette. What palette is, some of them look really gross. You might get lucky and something looks cool, like that looks almost like a haunted. You could use something, let's look at the tile set here. Yeah, you could use some of this as a haunted palette swatch or whatever. And some of them are actually close because of the Middle Ages one is similar to Chrono's era, or the Millennium timeline. And if I select something in here, like say this piece of couch, I can click each one of these, and it's going to have a different, hold on, there's a way to change this actually. Palette, which subtile? It's lying. You are lying to me. I don't know what the fuck that's doing. Okay, never mind. I don't know what that's doing right now. This is fucking way hella bizarro. There should be a subtile number here that tells me which one of these tiles is which, and you can actually custom make, like I could take pieces of this chair and bind it to the, like the bottom part, so the row of that stool or whatever, and use different, and then you can save this level tile set and actually export it in level location tile assembly, which tile set number 2, and then bickety bam, Bob's your uncle. Save it in tile sets, and we'll just call it 02. Millennial, probably butchered the spelling of that. Millennial timeline. Oops. And since it's a timeline or era, house set, I'm just going to capitalize timeline, so I see that one. That's a major one. If I'm changing ROM hacks real quick or whatever, I can just quick import that if I'm, you know, they're shared or something like that. That kind of thing. You're spanning across multiple ROMs. Okay, I'm not, that's kind of spooky ghost shit, but that could be a thing in TemporalFlux, I don't know. But it's supposed to give you a number like 396 or 296. And if I actually open up deeper in the tile swatches, layer 1 and 2 tiles, I think somewhere down here, I don't know. Yeah, it's supposed to be, you just click on these, but you can change them. You can change each, but the palette. Oh yeah, this is all fucked up. I'm not sure what's up with that. That's spooky stuff. Okay, also on this map, there's the width of the entire map. Okay, so we're talking this map 3C, right? Oh no, it's 3. Okay, right. This whole thing, and these locations are this, and plus the events that occur on. We're talking about that fucking later, not right now. I don't even want to get into that just yet, because I don't want to get lost. I gotta guide you through this first before I get us lost in that, whatever that means. Okay, so for some reason this tile editor thing's fucked up. I don't know. Maybe it's a capture thing in the capture software and it's really there and just tripping me out because my mouse is like freaking out right now on this. I don't know if you can see it in the video. Hope it's not giving anybody any epileptic shock. Anyway, so and we could change through tile sets this particular map is on. We'll get into that editing our own maps later, but right now I'm just covering the aspects of it. So it's a 40 by 40 on layer 1 and layer 2. So if I had a layer 2 smaller than layer 1, I could put scrolling kind of aspects in it so that it looks like a mountain background scrolling or whatever on those particular maps. And you can actually just load it up yourself. Search through the location list and find the Denadoro Mountains vista or whatever and see the background, and you know, or like in Death Peak where the background scrolls a little bit, and then there's snow scrolling on its own layer on a layer 3 kind of thing. And then these are the different layer priorities. Like snow, a map with snow is going to have a little different binary encoding of this bit flag set. So keep that in mind when you're copying and pasting maps. Some of these, when you're doing the even when you're doing the explicit paste with the swap layer 1 and 2, when you're piecing together stuff, to consider these layer priorities from the maps you're copying them from, because that can really screw you up. It'll save you a lot of time to consider that if something goes wrong in the simple copy and paste in the short term, you can be like, well, there's that layer priority thing in the maps. Maybe I got to do something else in my copy and paste order or whatever. Maybe I got to do them one at a time, or whatever in this, you know, I mean, just turn that off and, you know, just do layer 1 and then maybe even swap layer 1 and 2, but you're just doing layer 1, right? It's like, what? Yeah, anyway, I like to keep on most recent copy just for, wow, that really freaked it out. And then normal. Okay. And then effect, subtraction, like some of these maps can be, you can like, we'll get into this also, there's like a fog effect or snow. You can have different weird psychedelic, like for instance, I'm going to go, okay, we're going to leave Melchior Slut Hut, and we're going to go to, is it like 0C, something, no, it's 04C, yeah, the first unknown lava spawn. I actually hacked the map, and I added this little platform area, and actually what this is, and we're going to get into this later, you'll get the files later. Leave the teddy bear alone. And we're going to go to God's exhibit, and this little exit here, I'll check it, and it's going to go to 04C at 9D facing up. So that's going to be right here, and you're going to be facing up as if you just walked in that way, and presumably this goes down that way to about right here, about maybe even half a tile up. So it's slightly like covering you with the tent as if you're walking out, sort of effect in the layer priority stuff that we just talked about. And with this, we can get a little further into, okay, our map. This I had to do on a custom map. D1 is empty. You can use that for a new map if you're doing a Chrono Trigger expansion mod where you want to leave the regular Chrono Trigger alone, but you want to add something new like this to it. And the scroll, obvious, no surprise, it's only 10. But what's with this? It's like, obviously, since this width is 10, it's not going to have this extra scaling like these other maps do. And you can, as you can see, the scrolling here on this Gatos exhibit, the right, it doesn't scroll right all the way. That way, I can shrink that down a little bit. I could use this strip for some weird tiny mini game if that even fits on a screen kind of thing. And it'd be weird, but whatever, I could do it. As long as you got enough space to move, I think. Like, you can spawn something on one tile, it's not going to go good, as we've seen in glitch screens and whatnot. So, something to consider and be aware of. And then these enable, oh yeah, the layer translucency is for enable for the specific layers or a layer of the sprites in a sense or whatever. And with that said, okay, I think that gets us past the this portion here, and that later, and the menu functions, okay, and then treasure. And you can export treasure too, but it's going to export all the treasure. Same with exits. Exits are not each location's exits, it's all the exits. Music, we covered that a little bit. The strings, we'll get to that. And interface content, we pretty much covered that. And more, we'll get to that. Yeah, that's pretty ADD, but I'm excited about this. Let's rock and roll. So we're going to cover the Silver Point system next also. Blackjack, Scavenger Hunt, and the Adventurer's Tent that we're in right now. That's what this is, actually. It's a little guild, sort of like World of Warcraft. Reputation systems, and that's pretty fucking sweet. So, and then we'll get into this too, like after the fall of the Kingdom of Zeal, there will be a tab maker that you can go to, and that's pretty fucking awesome. Because then you can just go make like a speed tab or a magic tab by trading items with him, and then we can use that anywhere else in the ROM hack. We can just copy and paste that in with events, which we're about to get into, but we got to cover a couple more things real quick, like say that Atom Edge blade that I made. Okay, so you need these plugins. They're fantastic. Like, to get these, you gotta go to you've got to go to the Chrono Compendium and the chronocompendium.com forums and sign up for the forums, and then in Chrono Trigger modification there's these Temporal Flux plugins. Now I have mine set to the most recent post is going to be on top, so I'm going to jump to the page 4, and you're going to download each of these from this swell fellow individual here, and you're going to acquire all of those and place them into your Temporal Flux folder, like so. You want them, the DLL files, all to be in there like that. And if your antivirus fucks with your Temporal Flux, then you got problems. You got to disable that shit. For some reason, it fucked with mine for a bit. I'm not sure what's up with that, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, the TF settings, I'm pretty sure this is that file I was talking about before. When you rename a location within a ROM, it's going to have a settings file for that. Or, yeah, actually it might be in this one. Here we go. Yeah, it's in this. This project.settings is going to put that in a folder of in where you opened up that ROM. And that is fantastic. So I'm going to take a break on this for now and make sure that this segment recorded, and I'm just going to upload this to YouTube and just see what people, you know, and a review of what I need to improve when I refactor this video, because I'm not going to put part 2 into this until I make sure part 1 is good. So I'm signing off.